Hi, everybody. So, I'm really excited to share what I have to share with you today. Recently, I've been recording and sharing videos, kind of walking this path of sharing the different sections from my second book, From the Back of a Thirsty Camel. There are 6 sections in the book, and I've been sharing my journey and my process surrounding each of them. And this video is a little bit different. In this video, I'm going to share with you my very favorite poem. Kind of my number one poem from the Back of a Thirsty Camel. This is the poem that during the kind of conception process for the book, during the many weeks and months when I was bringing the book forward into the world, going about the process of publishing the book, this is the poem that when I would fall asleep at night, I would kind of be a little bit giddy about and be so excited to share with people. And when I was contemplating, why I felt that way about this poem, I think it's quite clear. If the mission or the vision of ecstatic poetry is to connect us with something, to connect us with our essence or with our deepest longings, if the idea behind ecstatic poetry is to help us maybe get out of our own way so that we can imbibe this personal meaning that we have, kind of hidden inside. I would say my process of writing this poem kind of did all of that for me. When I wrote this poem, I really felt my essence step forward in these words. I felt a feeling of deep meaning coming through almost spontaneously. I was almost surprised, and I really felt my power stepping forward in these words. I felt like writing this poem was a big step along the path, personally, as an artist and as a writer and as a poet, of finding my voice. So, as you can perhaps tell, it was really exciting for me. The whole thing was exciting for me. And recently I've been reading some writing by Alex Grey. Alex Grey is one of my favorite artists of all time, living or dead. I feel like he's one of the most important visionary artists in the world today, perhaps of all time. And Alex Grey does a lot of writing and talking about the mystic artist, or what I might call the ecstatic artist. And he says, the mystic artist is someone who has done some work to open himself or herself up, to spirit, so that spirit can enter in. And then what comes out into the artist's medium is just a channeling of spirit or of essence onto their medium. So my medium is words. So I really feel like the container of these words, and I feel this way about the whole book, Thirsty Camel. I feel this way about most, if not all, of my writing. They're a container for the divine through me. But it was very apparent in this poem. So without saying much more about it, I'm going to go ahead and share this poem with you. It's the very first poem in From the Back of a Thirsty Camel. It's a poem in 2 parts. The whole poem is called Invocation, and the first part is called The Swordsman. And maybe you'll see as I read this piece how the first part, The Swordsman, and the second part, which I called Prayer, are very much married. They're kind of the same poem, just said in different ways, or maybe one's a continuation of the other. I like to kind of envision them as a dance. Maybe like a helix playing in and through its own self or its own journey. This is Invocation, Part 1, The Swordsman. The swordsman whets his blade on a spinning wheel of stone. Sparks, red-hot fragments of metal and rock, travel their glowing arc patterns, and for a moment he is reminded of how the stars were born, before returning to his seat, a weathered old oak stool, pocked with burn marks, for him an old friend, a living reminder of the art of honing steel. In time his grinding ceases. Embers of stone fire cool in the grass, their smoking contrails spiral upwards, ghostly flower stems, planted seeds of the swordsman's intent for the razor sharpness of his craft. The village stirs, each head hoping to glimpse the refined gleam of his blade, and he, raising his foil towards heaven, inspects its landscape from hilt to tip, before sheathing the tool, reborn from its use, to continue the work of the day. Steel and stone, streaking comets of superheated matter, but most of all, the will of the man, not a fighter, nor a lover, but a being seeing God in the most mundane. Heaven and earth lie about the swordsman at his wheel. The people of the village know, and all throughout the kingdom wide, that never has lived a finer poet than he. Part 2, Prayer. And so it is that I begin. Words of the ages, come. Words of the sages, come. Words of truth, be mine this night, that you might set those hearts aflight which for far too long have held to ground, and might, with love, set skyward bound. Come to me, my words of fire, I seek you fullest, my true desire. Like the ageless swordsman at his craft, toward the stars I sail my raft. May words I write, my songs of spirit, fly like sparks that all may hear it, and fuse sweet heaven and ground below. The two are one, may all men know. Come to me, heaven, come to me, earth, you two as one which gave me birth, mantle to mantle and crust to crust, that my humble words might raise from dust sweet new life to deadened ears, as masters have from ancient years. Inspiration is my breath, I exhale words onto the page. Where once was darkness, pain, and death, the power of words will light this age. I set these words as solemn prayer, and hold those eyes in tender care, who chance to read an open heart to this simple swordsman at his art. In silence now, on bended knee, I offer up my sword, that you might hone and forge my heart. I sing my prayer to word. And so this is how From the Back of a Thirsty Camel begins, with a prayer to word that I offer to you now as a part of my journey, as a part of my art, and as one of the biggest parts of my heart as well. So thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.